What's up, my wizards? Dev from SBMTG. Place down there, we got decks and stuff. Here's a thing you probably haven't seen anywhere else. This is Mono Red Phoenix Midrange. Well, what is this deck exactly anyway? This is basically your standard big red deck, a Mono Red Midrange deck, but we're using 10 Phoenixes in the deck. I don't think I'm pluralizing that right, but we're just using 10 Phoenix in the deck, we'll say. We're playing 4 copies of Flamewake Phoenix, 4 copies of Ash Cloud Phoenix, easily the best Phoenix in the deck, and then 2 copies of a Koa Firebird, which I was not playing to begin with, but it became a 1 of, and then it became a 2 of, because it turns out the card is fine. The 4 copies of Flamewake Phoenix, this has synergy with Ash Cloud Phoenix. You got an Ash Cloud out, you can totally get your Flamewake out of the graveyard. That's cool. Usually this is a really good aggressive creature. We're not that worried about the aggression. We do have 12 things in this deck that either are or generate 4 power creatures for us. So if you got a Flamewake Phoenix in the graveyard, and chances are you probably will because we got a whole playset of them, you can very easily get it out nearly every turn. The playset of Ash Cloud Phoenix is the most important Phoenix in the deck. This does see occasional standard play, not as much as it used to, but sees occasional standard play, and you can see why. It's a 4-powered flyer for 4 mana. That's awesome. Wish it had haste. That's asking for a lot. Very easy to make it come back. You don't have to do anything to make it come back. It just does come back, flip down, you know, and 6 mana is a lot to ask to flip it back up, but later on in the game, the card's incredible, you know, an insanely good top deck. Later on in the game, it's pretty much going to always come back and you can immediately flip it up. So, it'll just never die. A lot of resiliency in our creatures in this deck, because, you know, it's a Phoenix deck. And then the Koa Firebird, and like I said, better than I thought it would be by a mile, you know. Later on in the game, you can pretty much just always get it back. It's like Ash Cloud Phoenix in that way. 6 mana, again, a lot to pay to get a creature back, but this does have haste, and that is very, very important. Being able to, anytime you just play a land, get a 3/3 flying haste is actually a lot better. Like, that sounds awesome, right? But 6 mana is usually, people say it's too prohibitive to play this card, and I don't know it's been tested enough in Standard, honestly, because I've really enjoyed playing this card enough to bump it up to a 2 of from 0. You know, once I started seeing it as a 1 of, I noticed I really wanted it all the time. So yes, definitely to a Koa Firebird. It's actually really good. We have to play some other creatures in the deck. It's a Mono Red mid-range deck, and there's a lot of good mid-rangey red creatures right now. So we're playing 2 copies, at least, of Dragon Master Outcast in the deck. I've gone back and forth between 2 and 3 in the deck, and there is 1 in the sideboard. There's a lot of decks that are really heavy on removal right now, and the guy is very easy to remove. And we got to see a lot of them. A lot of decks will play like 1 copy. We're playing 2 in the main, 1 in the side, because I really, really like the card. Has good synergy with, you know, Flamewake Phoenix. The card is really, really important. It's perfect for a Mono Red mid-range deck. Exactly what we are. Look at that. So let's play this. 2 copies of Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, which I wanted to play 3 copies of, but to be honest, there's not only the legend rule, which we do have to worry about. And it's not like this is Jace or anything. We're not going to play 4 of Chandra. But this is hard to flip. This is just very hard to flip, especially late game when you're down to top decking cards. That can be an issue because you're only ever going to get, you know, 1, maybe, but hardly ever, never 2 spells in 1 turn in the late game, unless you've done some planning, which is entirely possible. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's very, very hard later on in the game to flip this, and usually in the mid game you only have like 1 chance to flip it. Hopefully that happens for you. But there are other ways, you know, obviously she can smash through for combat damage, and then you play a spell, she untaps, you know, you tap her again, you flip her. So it's not like she's impossible to flip. 2 damage a turn can add up really quick when she's out for even just 2 or 3 turns. So even the unflipped Chandra can be a good clock against certain sort of turtley decks. A very good mid-range creature, whether she's providing a little bit of incremental damage for you, which can be inevitability against some decks, or when you flip her, she actually gets like pretty righteous. 4 copies of Thunderbright Regent to finish off our 18 creatures in this deck. We are playing, you know, the Flamewake Phoenix, and we're playing a copy of Crater's Claws in the spells as well, too. So Ferocious Synergy matters, but you'll notice we're playing something like 10 4-drops in the deck. Now, it is a mid-range deck, but our curve is very, very high. I think it's still worth it, though, to play the, you know, hard-to-remove, very efficient mana cost Thunderbreak Regent. You know, if they want to remove it, it's going to cost them 3 life. That's kind of important. And just the stats on it are crazy. You know, 4 mana for a 4/4 flyer that's a very, very good deal. So if we're playing mid-range in Mono Red, that's definitely do it. And it opens us up to the possibility of Draconic Will, which I'm not playing 4 full copies of, but is still an important card in the deck. 16 spells in the deck, all of which burn. That's what red does best, and it's important we remove creatures we're a mid-range deck, and like our relevant turns don't come until like the 4th or 5th turn, so we got to remove creatures, you know. Starting with the 4 no-brainer copies of Wild Slash in the deck, that's super important, and to go along with it, 3 copies of Fiery Impulse, which you could play a playset of. I wouldn't blame you for that. Some decks do. Wild Slash, very important that this goes to the dome. That's important, but mostly with both cards here, we're just going to be blowing away small creatures in the early game so that we can clear a path to the 4th or 5th turn. 1 copy of Roast in the deck. It's important we can take out the stupid Rhino, to be honest with you. The Rhino is very good against our deck. Siege Rhino is an important creature in the format, too. So we have to have at least a tool against him. And there's multiple Roasts in the sideboard in case we run up against Abzan, which we almost certainly will. 2 copies of Draconic Roar in the deck. And some people would want to play 4 copies. Bye, Ziggy. Most people would want to play 4 copies in the deck. Now, we do have the 4 Thunderbreak regions. We're playing 2 copies of Sarkhan in the deck, which can become a dragon. We're playing Dragon Master Outcast, which can be, you know, that makes dragons. So I can see the case for 4 Draconic Roar in the deck, and it's a really good burn spell, but, you know, in testing it seems like 2 is the magic number. I don't want to flood my hand too much, and yes, Draconic Roar is an insanely good card against creatures. It basically replaces Lightning Strike, but it's not always relevant. Again, I want to cut down the amount of cards that exclusively target creatures. Now again, if we have a dragon out or can reveal a Thunderbreak region in our hand, this will deal 3 to them too. So I can totally see the case for playing a playset. I just want to be able to play more diverse cards in this deck. You know, I want to be able to play Roast in the deck. I want to be able to play as many of the 1 mana removal spells as I can, which cuts down on the importance a little bit, I think, of this card here. So, but in case you're interested in playing a playset, I could see cutting 1 Flamewake Phoenix and 1 Ashclaw Phoenix. I could actually see doing that in order to play more Draconic Roar. It's a very important card. 3 copies of Exquisite Firecraft in the deck. One of the better cards in the entire deck. Now, I know, again, this doesn't take out the Rhino, but takes out every other important creature in the format. Often cannot be countered, which is sometimes relevant. And it can go to the dome, and against certain decks, that's amazing, too. Just being able to top deck this and hit for 4 guaranteed is a very powerful thing to be able to do. And I've really liked Exquisite Firecraft. Wish we could play the full playset, but I think 3 is optimal. 1 copy of Crater's Claws in the deck, and you know, all throughout, this is sort of my bias. We could totally cut this Crater's Claws and add a copy of Say Draconic Roar. We could do that. But I have always liked to have a silver bullet, just a singleton X spell in a red deck, especially a mid-range red deck, not necessarily aggro, but in a mid-range red deck that'll go a little bit farther. I really, really like to have at least 1 copy of an X spell, and it's a relevant X spell, 12 things that either are or create 4 power creatures, so we'll often get the Ferocious on it. It's really good when you do, so I at least want to play the 1 copy. And 2 copies of Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker, or 2 Planeswalkers in the deck. Again, this makes, this can become a dragon, and it can kill creatures. But Sarkhan just so much utility and is a perfect curve topper for us. I wouldn't not play the card. 26 lands in the deck, and we need every single land. That sounds like a lot of lands, but we have to have 6 mana to flip up Ashclaw Phoenix. We have to have 6 lands for Dragon Master Outcast. We have to have 6 mana for a Koem Firebird. So, and again, we're playing 10 4-drop creatures in the deck. So we have got to, and 2 Sarkhans, so we've got to have all of our drops every turn into like the 6th or 7th turn. It's imperative that we do that. So we need to play all these lands. Blighted Gorge is very, very good. We've got something like 8 burn spells that go to the face, and we've also got Blighted Gorge, a total of 12 cards that can hit them, right in the nose if we need them to. So that can be very important, and can take out small creatures if need be. And the Looming Spires has actually been pretty relevant. It does a few things in the deck. It's really good, if you have a Flamewake Phoenix out, play the Looming Spires, and that lets it, trade with a Manus Rider in combat. That can be important. Chandra is cool because play the Looming Spires. If you get through with Chandra during combat, she flips. That's pretty important too. And with a Koem Firebird, if you have a Koem Firebird out, you can play a Looming Spires and fulfill the Ferocious for Flamewake Phoenix and bring it back. So Looming Spires has multiple applications, and not to mention you can just make a dude a little bigger. That's always good too. Here's our sideboard in the deck, and red has an awful lot of sideboard options in this format. 2 Scabland Berserker are mostly for, against control decks. That's traditionally what these creatures are against, like Eidolon of the Great Revel is sort of our version of that. Seismic Rupture, obviously against aggro decks that we need to perform a little bit better against. So this is just a great tool against them. Rending Volley, we actually do pretty well against, Hangerback Walker tokens, Manus Rider, and stuff like that, even Ojutai, because we've got 4 power flyers for days. nowadays. It's not a big deal. So, but I still like the option of having the one rending volley, so that we can get through with our 4 power flyers. Crumble to Dust is mostly because, against, the 4 and 5 color decks that are somewhat popular in the format, just blowing up one colored mana source can be very relevant. It blows up, even the Spirit Dragon against dragon-based decks, that's good. Blows up, certain Eldrazi lands that they need, Sanctum of Ugin. One more copy of Crater's Claws in the sideboard, just because I like to have the option. 2 Touch of the Void, against mostly Hangerback Walker, but again, it's a card that goes to the face, which we need. Fiery Impulse, supplementary, but good against aggro. Exquisite Firecraft, good against control, and it's just good to have the option of going to the face with a 4th Exquisite Firecraft. A Dragonmaster Outcast against decks with a bunch of removal, that's important. And then 2 Roast to take out the Rhino, and even against, decks with a bunch of mid-rangey creatures. Roast is really good. Here are your power rankings for this deck right here. A final score of 65, which is really respectable, considering the deck only cost anywhere between $75 and $100, low prices to medium prices, on TCG Player. So that's really good, and I didn't give myself any budget restrictions when building the deck. And yeah, it's a cute deck, you're playing Phoenixes and stuff, but a 65 is a really good score for a deck that doesn't cost really an arm and a leg, nowhere near as much as a lot of standard decks cost nowadays, obviously. Well, that's all I've got for now, but I'm putting up another video around the same time I hope to upload this video, and it's sort of my thoughts on Aire, the newest spoiled card from Oath of the Gatewatch. What are we doing next time? I think time's up on Calastria Healer combo. I've got to come out with that. I know a lot of people are very, very excited for it, so don't worry. Next couple of days, you will get Calastria Healer combo. I'm Dev from SBMTG. If you enjoyed the content, do the things. I mean, it's YouTube. You know what to do. It really helps us out a lot when you hit that thumbs up button, man. Comment. Let us know how you felt. I know this is a weird deck. It's a little esoteric. It's not for everybody. It looks cute. But the deck is far more than just a cute deck. We have a high amount of resiliency, a lot of removal that can clear a path for it. And once we get into the mid-game, the deck is really, really good. So let me know how you feel about it, because it does a lot of things 4th turn and on. We really turn the game around. So let me know. Let me know. I think the deck is unique and fun, and it's a way to play Big Red without spinning an arm and a leg, too. In any case, I'm Dev from SBMTG. As always, thanks for watching, my wizards.